Trump's New York trial is set to resume Monday with his former lawyer Michael Cohen expected to take the stand. This as the district attorney's office reveals they could arrest their case by the end of next week. It comes after testimony from several witnesses like Stormy Daniels and tension over the gag order on the former president. Former federal prosecutor Brett Tolman joins us now to weigh in. Hey, Brett, great to have you on the program. You know, Trump's team attempted to move for a mistrial after Stormy Daniels' testimony, which, let's be honest, was incredibly prejudicial toward the jury. That was denied, the mistrial. I'm curious what you think's been accomplished by the prosecution if they rest their case by the end of this week. Like, is there there is a motion for dismissal after the prosecution puts their case on, right? You can do that. I'm just sure it would never be granted.
Yeah, Will, that's exactly right. They filed the mistrial motion, and I don't blame them for it. What they should have been doing is actually filing a motion to thank Stormy Daniels. There is no testimony more damaging to their opening theory. The opening theory was a conspiracy by Trump and those around him to improperly affect the election. Well, she clearly stated, even in her own testimony on direct examination and then on cross-examination, that her interest was to exact money out of the president. That in and of itself underlies this theory that there was some conspiracy on the other side. Instead, it shows that there was a reaction to Stormy Daniels and an attempt to try to get money out of the president. So I would have been thanking that witness for sort of blowing up the prosecution's initial theory. And then if you look at what they're going to present, it's shocking to me that they're even going as long as they are. It's more a show trial than it is one to try to pull in facts that are very important for the case in front of the jury.
The reason I bring up a motion to dismiss at the end of the prosecution's case, Brett, is because I'm like, well, I don't know, have they even met their burden, their minimum burden that should even go to a jury, right? Have they met the burden that this is a question and even after Michael Cohen goes, it just seems like it seems like a circus. Michael Cohen's only going to amp up the circus nature of this, and none of it leads rationally to any type of conviction.
Yeah, the motion is called a directed verdict, and I would estimate, Will, 95% of judges out there right now, 95% would not let this go to the jury.
Yeah, wow, directed verdict. Thanks for reminding me of the term I've forgotten from law school. Yeah, they wouldn't let it go to the jury because the prosecution hasn't even met their minimum burden. Will Michael Cohen, in your mind, help them meet that burden?
You know, Michael Cohen's testimony, certainly he is going to be willing to say whatever is needed to be said. He's proven that. And so the prosecution is going to be challenged really to get out enough. Keep in mind, though, what we're dealing with is not necessarily what Michael Cohen knows or what he's going to say. You still have Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights as a defendant in that courtroom to know what you have been charged with and to have a fair trial against you. Mm-hmm. If Michael Cohen goes in there and if he can't articulate what the underlying crime is, or if he can't produce evidence of what the underlying crime is, they'll still fail, and a judge would direct this verdict and say, hey, I'm not letting this go to the jury because, one, the facts don't seem to be sufficient, but you haven't clearly identified what the underlying crime is that gets this from a misdemeanor to a felony.
And real quick, Brett, of course, there's no expectation that this judge would find himself within the 95% you estimate would put this to a directed verdict. Well,
yeah, you look at the gag order. The gag order itself is an indicator of who this judge is.
Right.
When a gag order is needed, it's needed to protect the fairness of the trial for the defendant. In this instance, Cohen, wearing a shirt that shows the president behind bars, should have been the subject of the gag order before the president was.
Brett Tolman, really good stuff. We'll be watching this week. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.